Ariane finally appeared on Love and Marriage Huntsville, but the way she appeared said more than any conversation ever could. She did not walk into the room. She did not sit beside Martell. She did not speak. She did not introduce herself. She did not get a chance to explain her side. Instead, she was reduced to an image on a sweatshirt, worn by a man who has repeatedly shown that he does not view her as a partner, but as something he owns and controls. That moment alone explains her entire position in this situation. After years of sacrifice, silence, and public embarrassment, this is still the role she plays. Not a woman standing confidently beside her man, but a picture revealed when it benefits him. The setting made it even more uncomfortable. This was a couples game night hosted by the Fletchers. Every other person in that space was physically present with their partner. Couples sat together, laughed together, and were acknowledged as complete units. Everyone belonged in that room. Everyone except the woman who is supposed to be Martell's partner. She was not invited. She was not included. She was not welcomed. Instead, her image was zipped inside a sweatshirt like a hidden item, something to be pulled out for shock value. That is not romantic. That is not supportive. That is humiliating. Martell did not unzip that sweatshirt by accident. This was not a joke that went too far. This was not a careless moment. It was intentional. He knew the cameras were rolling. He knew the moment would be discussed. He knew it would spark reactions online. And most importantly, he knew that Ariane would once again be talked about without being able to speak for herself. This has been the pattern for years. Her name is always in the conversation, but her voice is never allowed to lead it. People debate her life, her choices, and her role, while she remains on the outside looking in. That moment showed very clearly that Martell still values power more than partnership. He enjoys controlling how much access someone gets. He decides when someone is seen and when they are hidden. Wearing her image instead of bringing her physically into the space says everything that needs to be said. It shows that she is something he carries when it suits him, not someone he stands beside with pride. That difference matters more than people want to admit. Martell has been divorced for years now. This is not a fresh breakup. This is not a man still healing. This is not someone confused about what he wants. Time has passed. Life has moved on. And yet, Ariane is still in the same position, still waiting, still hoping, still holding on to the idea that one day things will change, but reality has been giving her the same answer over and over again, just in different forms. She gave loyalty when it was not earned. She stayed silent when speaking up would have protected her dignity. She accepted being hidden while he moved freely in public. She gave him a child, believing that would finally secure her place. And even after all of that, she still does not have a ring, a marriage, or a last name. Not because he cannot give it to her, but because he does not want to. A man who wants to marry you does not hesitate for years. A man who sees you as his future does not keep you in the shadows. A man who respects you does not turn you into an image on clothing. These are not complicated truths. They are basic signs of where someone stands in another person's life. And yet, many people continue to make excuses for behavior that has already explained itself clearly. Some believe that if Martell ever does marry her, it would not be out of love, but out of ego, spite, or the need to prove something to someone else. And even that possibility is deeply sad, because being chosen for the wrong reasons is not a win, it is another form of loss. There is also the issue of control through paperwork and silence. It has been said that Ariane signed something that prevents her from appearing on the show. If that is true, it explains a lot. It explains why she can be referenced but not present. It explains why her image can be used without her voice. It explains why she remains stuck watching from the outside while her name continues to be discussed publicly. If she did sign something without fully understanding it, that only highlights how uneven the power balance has always been. One person had access, money, and legal knowledge. The other trusted, hoped, and invested emotionally. That kind of imbalance rarely ends well. When one person controls the rules and the other follows them out of love, the outcome is almost always the same: loss of agency, loss of voice, loss of self. This so-called debut did not elevate her. It exposed her. It showed that after all these years, she still does not have control over her own narrative. She is still being used as a tool in someone else's story. That is not growth. That is stagnation. Being visible does not mean being empowered. Being mentioned does not mean being respected. At the same time, the show itself feels empty. Without real conflict, real honesty, and real stakes, everything feels flat. People protect their image instead of sharing their reality. Businesses are mentioned, but progress is not shown. Homes are displayed, but struggles are hidden. Conversations repeat with no resolution. Viewers can feel when something is forced, and right now, much of the show feels forced. The Fletchers clearly live comfortably, but comfort does not always make compelling television. Stability is good for real life, but reality television needs truth. Watching people repeat safe talking points does not move the story forward. It fills time without adding meaning. Other cast members seem more focused on controlling how they are seen than living openly. That creates distance between the audience and the people on screen. When viewers stop feeling connected, ratings fall. That is not personal, that is business. Some believe that bringing Arion fully onto the show would fix everything, that it would bring drama, ratings, and excitement back. But that belief ignores reality. At most, it would create a short moment of attention. One episode, one spike, and then nothing. She has already told her story everywhere else. There is no mystery left, no slow reveal, no growth arc. Everything is already known. Reality television works best when something unfolds naturally, when viewers feel they are watching change happen in real time. When all details are already out, there is nothing left to build on. That is not entertainment. That is repetition. There is also a reason the other women would never fully allow her into that space. It is not only personal, it is about boundaries. Allowing one outside situation opens the door for many more. No one wants their marriage, children, or image at risk for shock value, especially women who are already under public scrutiny. This entire situation highlights a larger issue that many women recognize: the idea that patience will be rewarded, that loyalty will eventually be recognized, that love means enduring pain. But endurance without respect is not love, it is self-abandonment. Waiting does not turn potential into reality. Time does not fix imbalance. Hope alone does not build a future. Being close to someone does not mean you are valued. Being talked about does not mean you are important. Being visible does not mean you are chosen. Those differences matter. Ignoring them only leads to deeper disappointment. The sweatshirt moment was symbolic. People are usually printed on shirts to be remembered, not displayed as props in real time. Walking around with someone's image while excluding them from the space you are in is not affectionate, it is self-centered. It centers the man, not the woman. It shows ownership, not partnership, control, not care. This moment also shows that Martell is still chasing relevance. He wants attention, he wants proximity to success, he wants to stay connected to people who bring visibility and money. That is why he remains mentally tied to Melody, even though the marriage is over. It is not about love, it is about access. Meanwhile, Ariane remains stuck, waiting for something that has already shown it will not change. At some point, embarrassment stops being accidental and becomes a choice. When patterns repeat again and again, it is no longer about bad luck. It is about refusing to accept what is clearly happening. This situation is not just about one woman. It is about a dynamic many people know well: giving everything to someone who gives excuses, accepting partial attention instead of full commitment, settling for proximity instead of partnership. A picture on a sweatshirt is not a milestone. It is a warning. It is proof that nothing has moved forward. It shows that after all this time, the situation is exactly where it started. If this was meant to be her moment, it failed. Not because of how she looked, but because of what it represented: control instead of care, exposure instead of inclusion, silence instead of voice. Until that truth is faced, the cycle will continue. The same disappointment, the same public embarrassment, and no amount of screen time, pictures, or attention will change that. This was not a debut, it was a display of power imbalance, unresolved ego, and emotional neglect. And until those things change, nothing else will. This situation offers neither. It offers mixed signals, public references without private commitment, and visibility without security. That combination keeps the cycle alive. The longer this goes on, the harder it becomes to walk away. Not because love grows stronger, but because pride becomes involved. Admitting that years were spent waiting for something that never came is difficult. Letting go can feel like admitting defeat. But staying does not protect dignity, it erodes it. This is why moments like the sweatshirt scene matter so much. They expose the truth without words. They show exactly where each person stands. One person has control, the other has hope. And hope alone is not enough to build a life. People often ask why situations like this continue for so long. The answer is simple. Because the person benefiting from the imbalance has no reason to change it. Comfort removes urgency. Power removes accountability. As long as one person gets attention, loyalty, and access without commitment, there is no motivation to offer more. The responsibility to change always falls on the person who is losing, not because it is fair, but because they are the only one who feels the cost. Waiting longer does not increase value. Sacrificing more does not guarantee respect. Love does not grow in the absence of choice. At some point, silence stops being strength and becomes self-neglect. Endurance stops being admirable and becomes harmful. Staying quiet does not make someone more deserving. It only makes the imbalance easier to maintain. This situation also reflects a wider pattern that many people recognize in their own lives. Being kept as an option instead of a priority. Being acknowledged only when it benefits someone else. Being asked to understand, wait, and accept while nothing changes. The truth is uncomfortable but necessary. When someone shows you repeatedly how they see you, believe them. Not their words, not their promises, their actions. Actions do not lie. And in this case, the actions have been consistent for years. Until that reality is accepted, nothing will shift. The same moments will repeat, the same disappointment will return, the same public discussions will happen, and the same emotional cost will be paid by the same person. This is not about punishment. It is about clarity. Clarity is not cruel. It is freeing. It allows a person to stop waiting and start choosing themselves. It allows healing to begin. Without clarity, hope becomes a cage. And until that cage is opened from the inside, the cycle will continue exactly as it has been.